into the church as a house of prayer.
Yes.
And then the Lord says that he'll give them his house and his name. Can you correlate the house of prayer identity to the priest identity a little bit more clearly? Like, give a little
the house
bit more.
of prayer identity to the priest identity.
Correct, because you know how as Gentiles we're given the identity as a house of prayer forever as an identity. And then you're teaching today as the identity as a priesthood. So maybe you can correlate the two a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that he gives the name and his house. Was that a clear question?
Yeah. There's actually several scriptures. This idea that we are living stones being built into the house. And Christ is the living stone. He is the cornerstone. And we are living stones being built into the house. And the purpose of the living stones, and I'm referring to, passages, what is it, Ephesians 2, right? These living stones being built into a holy habitation of God. The purpose is the glory of God filling the house, as we saw a picture of, right? So the glory of God filling the house. So the Lord's going to put that glory. Christ is the stone, but he is the high priest. Okay? And his priesthood is not of one bloodline of Levi. His priesthood is of a different bloodline. Okay? And so the exclusivity of the bloodline of Levi, and it was actually not Levi alone, but the second son of Levi, because Aaron is the priest and only his sons and lineage can be priests. And Aaron comes from the second son of Levi, who's named Kohath. Okay? Levi has three sons, Gershon, Kohath, Merari. The second son is Kohath. Aaron and Moses are both descendants of Kohath. And that makes that priesthood of the Old Covenant exclusive to the Kohathites. Okay, so only a Kohathite, not all Levites could be a priest. Only a Kohathite could be a priest in that Old Covenant. Okay? So it wasn't even just one tribe, it was 1/3 in essence of one tribe. Okay? This new covenant implies, and this is spelled out in Hebrews 7, this new covenant, this new testator of this new covenant, okay, which we know is Christ, in the bloodline, her earthly bloodline argument, Christ would not qualify to be a priest because he was of the tribe of Judah. Right? Christ, in fact, could not even enter the temple. When he flips the tables, when it says he goes to the temple, he's entering the outer court, which is called the court of the Gentiles, and the place where the tribes could go, but only Levites could go into the building. Christ couldn't even go into that building, but he didn't need to. His kingdom was not of this world, and his priesthood was not of this world. Okay? So this priesthood that comes, like I like to say, into this, not into the temple, but into this court of the Lord that's outside of the temple building, this priesthood that comes there is for all the nations. Okay? It's a priesthood for all the nations. Now, one simple passage, and this one confounds different ones, and I've had, 3 or 4 conversations with Jewish men on this. And it's in Isaiah chapter 66. You might just note this for later. It's important to understand because this passage is a mystery to the Jews. And it says, I'm trying to find it. And I will take for myself, verse 21, I, God speaking, will also take for myself some of them for priests and Levites. What's he talking about? It's these Gentile nations up here. I was in Jerusalem in an art store that was run by 2 Jewish men. began to interchange with this one Jewish man, just asking him questions, because he lives in Jerusalem. You can learn a lot. And I'm hoping to be some kind of witness of Christ to him. But I realized pretty quickly he's really smart. I asked him a question in the Old Testament. He goes, well, here's the Jewish perspective on this. Here's the Christian perspective on this. And he accurately describes my perspective. And here's the Muslim perspective on this. And I'm asking him certain questions. I'm going, whoa, okay. So we're doing the Isaiah 53 thing, and he's going, here's what you believe, here's what I believe on Isaiah 53. Boom, 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 boom. I went, that's pretty accurate, okay. I'm the student, he's the teacher. So I just decided, I'm just going to ask him questions and learn, get his perspective. At the end of the conversation, he turns to me, he goes, there's one verse that still gets me. I said, what's that? He said, Isaiah 66, verse 21. God is going to bring priests out of the Gentiles. He looks at me and goes, I think that's the Melchizedek priesthood.
Wow.
I just went, I think you're right. That's what I teach. I teach the Melchizedek priesthood. And I didn't say that to him. I went, I think you're right. I think you got something there. And I played coy, but I realized, oh my goodness, God is revealing this to the Jews. They have their own passages. Two comings of Christ, one lowly riding on the donkey, the other coming in the clouds, Daniel 7, Zechariah 9. They have two comings of Christ in their own teachings. Two prophecies that are clear, distinct ways that the Messiah comes that are different. So anyhow, this priesthood in every place, Malachi 1:11, incense will go up to me, for my name will be great among the nations. That's another one. Another one would be in Revelation chapter 4, verses 5 and 6. It says the pillar of fire and the pillar of cloud are going to be back. And they're going to manifest in that day over the dwelling places of Zion. Okay? Over the dwelling places of Zion. Now, the prophetic word of Zion, the Zion is a word for the bride of Christ. This manifestation of the visible presence of the Lord, which is the only way you can interpret that passage, because pillar and cloud only happened once historically and never prophetically until there. And it's a prophecy of a literal pillar and cloud again. Over the dwelling places, over the people of God. Over the bride being prepared. Well, what was that pillar and cloud for? It was for a kingdom of priests. And it was sent directly over the tabernacle for the engagement with heaven. Right? And dwelt in the midst of the people of God for 40 years. Right? So and God has given a way for a new covenant priesthood to enter into this day and night presence encounter. So, does that help?
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Who else? Other questions? Yes, come on up.